this is Jeannie Hart, and we're going to do just a little sketchbook tour. First of all, this is a Blick sketchbook, as you just saw. It's hardback spiral bound. This was from June until February-ish, 2 years. I really like this particular sketchbook because it's wired bound, as well as the fact that it has these perforated areas, so that makes it really easy to remove things if someone wishes to purchase it, or if I want to scan it. It just makes life a whole lot easier. Pretty good paperweight too. I really kind of like this 65 pound, especially for pencils, and that's what this sketchbook is for, or at least it was supposed to be for. You'll see as we flip through it, I kind of messed up a few times and put some inks in here, but oh well, it's fine. The main theme of this sketchbook was definitely pencil drawing. I hadn't sketched with the pencil in a quite a long time. So let's get to it. So first off, we've got a lovely little landscape, just trying to get a handle on some big shapes and how to really kind of play around with some trees. And this is going into one of the projects that I'm working on, which is 30 Days of Drawing Nature. But basically, I'm just trying every day to capture something on a sketchbook because I'm really bad about drawing in a sketchbook. This is a nice little still life with a reference photo from Pinterest, and really trying to get some shading done. And I'm using a mechanical pencil, so there's only so much shading you can do. Working through and just kind of doing some props. I really like witchy stuff, and so this is some poison bottles. And you can't have witchy stuff without runes, and so I really like just simple drawings, one per page. And then I kind of went through and started looking at runes and researching them, kind of what they meant. And here I was playing around with some of my architecture background, just making something fun. Working through some more little architectural details. I really like drawing these type of little details, little flourishes. And here I'm doing another little reference drawing, street scene. I can't remember where this street scene was at. Oh, and here's some ink because I totally messed up. This was part of one of my concept art classes, and it was right after my car accident, and I just couldn't be on the computer, so I was doing drawings in here. And these were still from my concept art classes, just trying to figure out some shape languages of some really kind of cool rocks and things. Here I'm looking at the clouds being a swooping up, and mountains being kind of soft, but yet having the water actually look like cotton balls at the end. And here I'm defining it a little bit more. I'm showing that they're rounded bits for rocks, and then all of the natural things are actually angular, which is not what you usually see. And here, just kind of looking at trees, seeing their shapes and some different plants. And then I got into my hungry phase. I love doing illustrations of food. So I started getting into doing food in different ways. This is some cabbages and tomatoes, some lovely grapes. And I really learned almost everything that I've needed to know how to draw with drawing grapes. You do the shapes that you see first, as I'm pointing out there, and then you just kind of fill in the pieces after that. You always want to draw what you see first. And when I say that, I mean you draw the whole thing and then you fill it in. And you can do it to other things. So like here with the flowers, I went ahead and I drew the big pieces first, then filled it in. Some lovely garlic. Because like I said, hungry phase. Nice, lovely, shaky camera there for you. Gotta love that. And then some more florals, because life is always better with florals, at least my version of life is. I think this was actually a sketch that I had shown on one of the other videos. And then we started getting a little weird. I saw some drawings about auto drawing and where you just kind of let your mind wander and just move the pen across the paper and just see what happens. So I just started filling up pages in this way. This was an ink drawing that I actually found and I wanted to preserve it. So I just taped it in here because I did want to preserve it. And then this is a sketch for my Patreons that I did a full color version for them with a complete walkthrough. This one I was sitting out at the pool in our apartment complex and just needed to get something on paper. Now I'm going into like some fun jellyfish kind of phase and just trying to figure out how to sketch shading on something that's translucent. This is another jellyfish that you could see all the way through in my reference photo. So I was really just trying to figure out how to show that translucent quality with a pencil. And then moving on to some more kind of witchy things. I really love these kind of poison bottles or potion bottles. So I was playing around with that, as well as some crystals and a little bit of perspective. Just trying to compose a little scene. And then I love fungus. I love mushrooms. I think they're so awesome. So, and those are little poisonous mushrooms that you can get in the Pacific Northwest. And then more auto drawing, just trying to let my brain move forward. And then this is something, I used to do this in high school, this kind of style of ocean waves crashing. And then kind of moving along to my bicycle. This is my bike with my basket. Just really trying to fill up the whole page at this point. Nice little floral illustration with my letter of my first name, J. This was also a Patreon illustration that I put through. And then a picture of me, because I don't draw myself very often. And so I kind of just put myself in my sketchbook. Playing around with some negative space, with some monsteras. I think that's how you pronounce it, monsteras. Some lovely succulents. I love structure of succulents. They're so cool. And then a really badly drawn anime. I'm looking at how badly I misplace her eyes. Ugh. Some more auto drawing. My brain must have really needed that auto drawing. And then drawing from life, my feet, because feet are important and you need to know how to draw them. And then just kind of playing around with some ideas of typography and how to work that into something of like maybe a sticker. I do like that one. It's mind your own business. I'm really bad at character drawing. That's okay. Here's another one, time in a bottle. I thought that would be a fun little sticker. And then looking at some like traditional tattooing kind of style. I think I was watching a lot of Ink Masters at this point. I'm kind of playing around with some concept art pieces. I really like strong silhouettes that kind of box the viewer in. Really makes them focus. And then a happy little toadstool home. Can't really tell how big this is. This could be for a little tiny fairy, or it could be for a huge monster. You don't just know. Now I'm going into some studies. I think this was a Destiny study from one of the Destiny art books. Just kind of really looking at the shape structure and how does it point to the main characters? How does it translate? Yeah, I think this was Destiny. Little props. I love drawing little props that fill in the world. Combination of auto drawing and a letter. I like doing this kind of thing. I've always liked typography. This deer looks a little like animated, even though like I totally thought about this being a cool ink illustration with like the trees and the Pacific Northwest and the moon. I just don't think it worked. Some more flower studies. I really like this one. To me, this flower, it's a type of orchid, I believe. Really just kind of looks like a dancer. This is my Dylan. This is my baby cat. He's 18 years old and he always puts his tail in front of his nose. I think it's absolutely adorable. And then there's me. This was another sketch several months later, and it was raining and I came home and I was completely soaked. I took a picture of myself. I believe those are called selfies. And that's how I ended my sketchbook. I thought, how perfect was that? So thank you for joining, and I hope that you enjoyed this little sketchbook tour. Bye.